Basically, good emotional health starts at having good self-concept, which is basically knowing, liking, and feeling good about who you are. That's basically having good self-concept. If you're looking for a soulmate, you want to find somebody who have a good self-concept. Uh, and one way is to monitor the conversation and communication skills. You want to ask the question, can they carry on a conversation without stressing out? Um, can they process your comments and respond properly? Will they take turns in the conversation? Will they allow you to get your point across? Um, People who have good self-concept does not always have to be right. They respect your differences in opinion. Um, they are not defensive or anxious. They do not feel compelled to control and dominate the conversation. They do not talk too much, too fast, or too loud. They listen pretty well and intently as you speak. On the other hand, people with poor self-concept, or uh, basically people who have neurosis, they present in two extreme categories. On one extreme, they suffer from extreme or unusual shyness. They suffer from feelings of worthlessness, inadequacy, and insignificance. So, based on the profiling I discussed previously, what stage um, would someone fit into? Well, basically, low self-esteem and people who are insecure also are basically stage 3A. So this describes somebody who is stage 3A. Now, on the other extreme are people who try to cover up their poor self-concept with arrogant behavior, anger outbursts, excessive profanity. They may even have temper tantrums. They verbally insult other people on a pretty frequent basis, and they may um, uh, be the perpetrators of domestic violence. So, guess what's their profile? Yes, stage 4A. People with high self-esteem, yet they're insecure, therefore they have threatened egotism. And in a situation where you threaten their ego, this is the type of behavior that you're going to see. Emotionally healthy people believe deep down inside themselves is a lot of a lot of intrinsic value and significance. Their value as a person is not based simply on what other people say about them or on other external factors, because their sense of significance is built in. Almost nothing that life throws at them can diminish their sense of intrinsic value. Therefore, these people are very adaptable. They can manage numerous setbacks, such as breakup in relationships, divorce, losing the job, bankruptcy, and so forth. Emotionally healthy people, further description, it's basically is being true to yourself and living a lifestyle of authenticity. Um, think about it. If you don't get real with yourself, how can you know you're a true soulmate, even if you meet that person? How are you going to recognize that person? Also, if you don't first know who you really are, how can you possibly know who your best match is? So um, a person with a good self-concept is free to give love, to give loving kindness, compassion, patience, gentleness. Uh, these are what we call moral virtues, and also material possessions to other people without expecting anything in return. Um, Therefore, these people are able to give true love, what some people use the term unconditional love, which is always looking out for the welfare of the other person. In contrast, someone with a poor self-concept puts his or her needs, wants, wishes, and desires before yours. Let me give you a few more red flags to watch out for. Okay, people with character disorder uh, and or neurosis. Once again, remember this graph here. People on the spiritual path are secure, but if they get derailed, then they're on the what I term the shadow path. That's my terminology that I've given for this model here that I formulated over a decade ago. But basically, people with character disorders, right here, the cutoff line would be right here. So basically, people with pre-conventional moral development, those with stage 1 and stage 2, and those who are derailed, um, 1A or 2A, basically these are people who are environmentally produced sociopaths, while up here these are natural born sociopaths. Okay, so this is character disorder. Neurosis, once again, people with a moderate amount of derailment and a moderate amount of symptoms um, will meet the criteria of many psychiatric disorders, such as post-traumatic stress disorder, bipolar disorder, major mood disorders, personality disorders, and so forth. Um, so down here, neurosis 1A, 2A, 3A, 4A, and 5A. In my lifetime, I have never met someone who have been derailed significantly and has been able to reach the highest stage of spiritual development of stage 6. I have not met that person, so the highest I've met is stage 5, stage 5A derailment. Once again, these people are characterized by insecurity and ignorance. And finally, people here, 1A and 2A, these people have both character disorder and neurosis. Okay, so it's not an either or phenomenon. So character disorder and neurosis can occur simultaneously or concurrently in the same person. Okay, so the red flags to watch out for is basically any signs of addiction. When I say addiction, I mean any addiction, including alcoholism, eating disorders, whether eating too much or too little, anorexia or bulimia, excessive pornography, or these days internet pornography addiction, nicotine use, compulsive gambling, illegal or prescription drug misuse, and hyper-religious. I don't have time today to explain this, and I know that some religious people may be offended, but that's not my intention, and I will explain this more thoroughly when I talk about, when I have time to talk about personality profiling. People who are very hyper religious um, tend to have significant amount of neurosis. Um, Addictions basically is a bad sign, and you really want to. I recommend that you stay away, but many people just cannot if they're physically attracted to that person or there's that chemistry uh, that they'll just overlook the, the, their partner's addictive personality. But addictive personalities frequently struggle with more than one addiction. They tend to be impulsive and they repeat the problem over again. They usually have developed the skills, however, to be a good liar. They are extremely good liars. And the lies layer one on top of the other. One covers the other lie, and that lie covers another lie. So it's what I call a stack. The lies are in a stacked formation. In contrast, there are other patterns of lying, but people with addictions have a stacked pattern of lying, and basically they're using a deception to cover up their many forms and types of addictions. Remember, I think it's important for you to remember that all addictions take time to improve, and therefore it's going to test your patience if you get involved with someone in a long-term relationship. And also I recommend that you keep in mind that you are not his or her therapist. I mean, you're basically in a relationship, in a personal or probably a sexual relationship, and you really cannot push or rush the healing process. Anger management is another important thing or a characteristic for you to look out for in a potential mate. Almost everyone experiences anger from time to time. That's a normal expectation, of living day to day, you know. But the main point is that how we deal with our anger is going to tell us. It's going to tell you a lot about our self-concept or someone else's self-concept. Remember, there's a big difference between anger and aggression. A person with a good self-concept is more likely to manage their anger in constructive ways. For example, taking a non-violent stance when they see an act of injustice. On the other hand, someone with poor self-concept is likely to manage their anger in destructive ways, basically through the act of aggression or multiple acts of aggression. Here's a complicated word, hard for me to pronounce, obstreperousness. And I highly suggest that you stay away from marrying an obstreperous person, which basically is someone who is extremely harsh, overly critical. They do not appreciate anything, and is almost impossible, basically impossible, or at least difficult to please, and they are never satisfied. And they are very quick to find fault and blame other people. And their major weapon that they use is that they instill guilt in addition to shame on people, especially in personal relationships. They're the one with the problem, but after several months that you're with them, you begin to doubt your sanity, and you begin to think you're the problem. So that's their major weapon that they use. Once again, the obstreperous people, they tend to be obsessed with proving other people wrong, and that they are right. They have negative basic attitudes toward life. Uh, they are highly skilled in deception to mask his or her inner self, uh, especially in the early stages of relationships. Therefore, many people think that they can spot these people, but I would tell you from my experience, most people cannot detect an obstreperous person during the early stage of their relationship, uh, and, and they won't discover that until it's usually too late, and during the long-term relationship, usually in a marriage. Um, obstreperous people, they may act quite friendly, and they can be very gregarious, and and they in their work environment, they can be very cooperative, and they appear to be ideal teammates, and they tend to be full of compliments. They compliment you, and it appears quite sincere, and you truly believe in their compliments until it's too late. A common motto of these people is basically, "I hate you, but I will never let you leave me." So once again, I hate you, but you cannot leave me. So what stage of moral development and spiritual development is that? During egotism, stage 4A. That's the most common obstreperous person. Stage 4A profile.